I'ma be so rich that I can buy my mom's a house. Have a living room with a big TV, and I'ma still sleep on the couch. I'ma have them like, boy, babe, holy cow, oh my god. Wow, boy, babe, holy cow, oh my god. Wow, it seems I'm getting fresher every time they turn around like.
Hey, what is up, everybody? It is Ryderz of the Night, Wednesday, February 16th. Got Zack and Justin, Ethan on the mics here today with us.
Yes, sir.
Going to get a little reaction from this past weekend on the Super Bowl, reaction from UFC 271, Grizzlies, big win over the Hornets, big win over the Pelicans on Tuesday. MTSU covered another spread once again over the Charlotte 49ers. They got another game coming up this week tomorrow against FIU. Hopefully they can cover another spread and stay in the top 10 for doing that in the nation. Had a big win last night. Going to get some reaction from Ethan about the Tennessee win over number 4, Kentucky, up there in Knoxville. And then we're going to get to some picks for tonight and picks for the rest of the week. So let's get into it.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir. Of course.
It's been trying to get over here.
Yeah.
I think first thing we're going to get into is the Super Bowl reaction. Were you guys surprised at all about the outcome of the game, the score, who won? Any of the prop bets? I mean, most of the prop bets that we talked about. I mean,
I don't want to talk about it yet,
a lot of them outside of Joe Burrow rushing stuff.
Yeah.
Most of them hit. I know one thing that a lot of people had trouble with was if you bet anything with props as it can pertain to running backs. Cam Akers and Joe Mixon, neither one had an outstanding game. Both D-lines looked both defenses look really good for the most part in general.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's surprising that the Rams won. Obviously, they were favored, but I mean, it was a good game, I thought. The prop that didn't hit, though, was Snoop Dogg smoking on stage.
But it did happen.
But it did happen.
Do you think that they should have cashed it because he was
he was on
there
stage.
Before?
He was on stage.
I seen the best.
But whatever. He was definitely lit as hell.
Was the listing for him to be on stage, or was it for it to be during the halftime show?
It must have been during for it not to cash.
Yeah. I would think it would have had to.
I mean, he was on the side stage.
The two big props I had Odell for first touchdown of the game. I just figured they would go to him early, and it seemed to happen. And then the other prop I had as you mentioned, the running backs. I had Cam Akers under 82.5 rushing and receiving combined. I just didn't see him doing anything that crazy in the game.
Yeah, I know. Justin was riding on T. Higgins. I had T. Higgins for 2 touchdowns hit, so that was pretty good.
Yeah, I said I wasn't gonna bet either way on either team. Just going to go straight props. And then we took T. Higgins, anytime touchdown score, plus 150 or something. And then T. Higgins receiving yards over 69.5. Cash that for
You got that on
units.
one play.
Jalen Ramsey on the other side, too, with Jamar Chase even. And they had him on T2 on that one play where he got a lot of face mask on that deep ball for T's second touchdown. Ramsey ended up, partially because of that play in general, he gave up about 160 yards during the game. That was the most for his career. And with that being in the Super Bowl at home, that was pretty interesting to me, too.
Dude, sorry to Odell about getting injured, but he did do everything I needed him to do.
How much more you think
within his time on the field?
How much longer do you think he sticks around?
I mean, he did just win a Super Bowl. So.
With the Rams?
He looked pretty good this year.
They're paying him pretty well.
I think he'll stick around there for another year or so. But, I mean, when you look at the grand scheme of things, I don't know what the shelf life exactly is for a receiver in the NFL, but he's been around the block for a minute now when you start thinking about it. I mean, what did he get in about 3.5 years, 4 years with the Giants before he moved over to Cleveland for about 2.5?
Yeah, that sounds about right. It's crazy, man. Cleveland, like everyone thought Odell was the problem, but it's clear that it was Baker based off how Odell's performed.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I can't. They just ruined or I kind of wasted Jarvis Landry and Odell's time. They're good years while they got them at the Browns. The Browns brown.
Yeah. Were you surprised about the score at all?
I expected it to be low scoring. I bet under 24 in the first half was another bet I made, and luckily for that missed extra point, it happened. But a lot of teams, and especially in the Super Bowl, tend to play real hesitant to start the game.
Yeah. I said it previously. I had Cincinnati +4 the whole time. I thought that it would be a pretty interesting, entertaining game the whole way through, just so they could keep viewers enthralled. But I thought that there would be a little bit more scoring overall. I didn't expect the defense to be quite so good. I had it being more of about a 31-28 game rather than that 23-20. And I also would have thought that somebody would have scored a little bit later rather than, I thought the Rams definitely could have wasted a little bit more time there towards the end before they scored that final touchdown. And I thought they gave the Bengals fairly ample time to go down the field. It's just they just couldn't get it done right there towards the end. And that's something that I think the Bengals will learn later on down the road as they get a little bit older, because a bunch of those guys are really young and they had never been in a situation like that before, and I think they just kind of crumbled under pressure against a really good defense too from the Rams.
Yeah, it comes down to O-line play. I mean, Aaron Donald single-handedly dominated that last drive. I mean, with that run stop, and then he was the one that got on Burrow right when that guy didn't make that last play. So
yeah, credit to Burrow and T. Higgins for playing a great game, pretty much. But you can't have 9 sacks.
Yeah,
I think we'll see Joe Burrow back. I don't think that was his,
sure.
his last Super Bowl.
yeah, it was just
NFL
a
record
sprain
sacks.
too.
Anybody have blue Gatorade? I sure did.
No, I did not.
I had orange.
I had orange.
You would have thought.
We didn't even corroborate that one.
Nah, you would have thought. I had lemon lime. I thought that there was a chance for that. Didn't think that it would end up being team colors. I think if Cincinnati had won, it probably would have been orange. Now, looking at it at this point.
Yeah, probably.
But outside of that, other big note, after that game, too, you got to look at somebody like Cooper Kupp. How much money does he command after this year, considering that he put up most receiving yards in NFL history? What was it? Most touchdown catches in a single NFL season. He won the NFL Triple Crown.
Yeah, and Super Bowl MVP.
And Super Bowl MVP. He won the Super Bowl, too. 3 of those things are like 3 things that Jerry Rice, he did over the course of his career. Kupp did it on one season this year. And then when you also got to look at start looking at greatness in terms of D linemen, and with people like Lawrence Taylor and those guys up there at the top, and Reggie White, where does Aaron Donald start to fit in with some of those guys? Looking at his overall statistics, he's added that NFL Defensive Player of the Year to his resume now, and he's got that Super Bowl ring to his resume.
What are the Rams going to decide on, Von Miller and Odell?
I think Von Miller's done, probably.
I think so.
He should go out.
I think he's
champ.
ready. He's got 2 Super Bowl rings now. I think if he goes out, he's a Hall of Famer. He's said and done right now. I'd take what he has, and I'd go ahead and leave it where it is.
Well, there's speculation about Aaron Donald potentially retiring. Yeah. He wants to be the highest paid defensive player in the league, and he's about $6 million behind T.J. Watt right now.
Like these guys that are linemen now, they're just like fridges that can move with hands. They're absolutely crazy. Like some of these guys are 6'5", 6'4". They're weighing 330 to 350 pounds. They're running 4.7s and stuff like that, 4.8s. So it takes a toll physically on like your hands, your lower body, and a couple other areas as a D lineman. And Donald's been in the league for a good little bit now too. D lineman's shelf lives I think only sit around like 6 to 8 years. But with that, I think we're going to jump in and get a little bit of reaction from UFC 271 over the weekend. I know that all 3 of you guys watched that.
Let's go, Ty.
I know Zach took a really big loss on Blood Diamond, getting the absolute crap knocked out of him.
That
was your lock of the week.
That's what I get for betting a damn early prelim. It was like the very first fight of the entire night. He was coming out of Adesanya's fight camp, and he was undefeated in the UFC. He got viciously knocked out. But other than that, I had Ty and Izzy Adesanya parlay that hit. Ty knockout, man, that was a pretty big fight. Adesanya performed as I figured he would, as a champion seems to. And Ty, he's hot, knocks out Derek Lewis. Came out today that the state board of health for regulation of Texas has suspended Derek Lewis for 2 months now. For how vicious that knockout is, he's not allowed to fight for 2 months, like per the board or whatever. But I don't know, it was a good card. I enjoyed it.
I thought the amount of in the prelims, the chokeouts were pretty interesting. There weren't you saw a lot of, there were some pretty good hits and stuff, but most of the KOs were coming from just straight up knockouts from chokeouts.
Yeah,
so
putting motherfuckers to sleep.
Ty done saved the night for us. That was the most exciting one, I think.
For sure.
The Adesanya one was pretty slow. I feel like the only way.
Do you think with the right venue that Adesanya is the most, like, Do you think he's the most interesting fighter in fighting right now? Like, do you think, like, in terms of, like, crowd drawing, like, if they put him in a place like Madison Square next time around?
Yeah, he just got a new contract, and he's now the second most paid fighter on the active roster behind McGregor.
They ought to put him in SoFi Stadium and let him do one there.
I don't know. He's got a lot in store for him.
I feel like that fight was a lot closer than the scorecards indicated. I think Adesanya won the fight, but Whitaker fought the only way that he had a chance to win.
Yeah, I had him by TKO, KO, or DQ. So it definitely surprised me because the last time they fought, it ended in the second round with a knockout.
And that was when Whitaker was the world champion
Yeah.
at that time, and that was for Adesanya to take the belt from him, and he did it and came out there that first time in a spectacular.
I think the
fashion.
biggest thing too is just like you see in the post press conference for Adesanya, he was up there on the podium. He was basically unfazed. It didn't look like he had much swelling on him at all or anything like that. I don't know what it is. Each is built different. Certain standards.
And when he's in the fight, he looks so intense and everything. It's crazy.
He moves around just so fast.
Yeah.
The problem with Whitaker, I think he landed 4 takedowns, maybe 5, but regardless, he didn't do anything with those takedowns, and that first round drop by Adesanya was just huge to hurt his confidence for the remainder of the fight. I mean, he was only throwing his right arm,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Adesanya's done with middleweight?
No, he already said he's coming to fight. I don't know his name. This new guy he hasn't fought before for sure. And then he's got
Jared Cannell,
yeah,
or however you say his name, but he was actually on this card too, and that was my favorite fight of the card.
And so he's looking to fight him in June, and then he said after that he wants to probably move up or down. I don't know. I've been hearing about Cosmot or whatever. He wants to fight Adesanya.
I can't see him moving down.
No, I don't.
He's
he won't
already
move down.
so
He'll
skinny.
Move up.
Yeah,
he'll move up. Yeah, but he's already tried to move up. Didn't work for him, but.
That's why I think who you were just talking about, Jared Cannonier, has a slight chance against Adesanya because he actually used to fight in heavyweight. I mean, if you looked at his performance, I mean, he was about to get choked out by Brunson in the first round and then came back and just demolished him in the second.
Yeah.
I took Cannonier, Ty, and Adesanya, and I thought he was going to lose and busted right off the bat. And went 2 units on that one, and all 3 of them came through. It was a great night.
Yeah, and Ty, I mean, he's becoming a superstar. I mean, a fan favorite for sure. I mean, everyone thought he was just kind of like one of those guys that all the fans liked, but he's actually starting to prove himself now,
Yeah, so what's next for him? We know Ngannou's going to be out for a while. He might not even fight this year. He's not obligated to under his contract. He wants to get out of that. So
Yeah, him and Dana White are at odds.
Derek Lewis was like the most exciting fight for him.
Dude, Derek Lewis is always exciting. You gotta love him.
The only thing that makes sense to me is Stipe.
Fridge.
Yeah,
Stipe, yeah.
that's
I
the
could
only
see,
thing.
I mean, that's gotta
unless
be the
John
only-
Jones fights Stipe, but
yeah. And then, I mean, yeah.
Well, also looking back at the weekend, you got the Grizzlies. They had a pretty good win over the Hornets. They won by 7 points. However, that is also my bad beat of the weekend. They only won by 7. The spread was 7.5. At one point during that game, they led by 32. And that was during the third quarter. That bled down over the course of the rest of that game, and they did end up covering. Went on to Tuesday night, played the Pistons. I believe it was the Pelicans. Got another win over them. That makes it 6 in a row, so they're back to being hot right now. John Morant sitting out for the second night in a row tonight against the Portland Trail Blazers. The spread sits in about 11.5. I don't know if you're going to take that, Ethan, if you thought about it, because the Grizzlies have been really good with covering it so far this year. The Blazers just dealed away. McCollum, he played the Grizzlies last game over there with the Pelicans. It's at Memphis tonight in the Grindhouse. I look for them, even without Morant, with how bad that Portland team is, with them traveling on the road and how much discombobulation there is with that organization. I think the Grizzlies still, even with Anthony Melton and Tyus Jones running at point. Tyus Jones had 27 points against the Pelicans. He looked really, really good.
Career high, right?
Yeah, so I could definitely see them still possibly covering that 11.5. Will I be betting on it tonight? No. It's just too big for me.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it totally happening, but it's just one of those bets I'm going to avoid tonight. I mean, with John Morant being out and then them coming off a back-to-back, I mean, I really don't know how they're going to perform. But, yeah, the Blazers are just blowing up everything. But Anthony Simmons, he is one bright light they have right now. He's been performing really well with Lillard out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's for sure. Also, looking back at this last weekend as well, you got MTSU. They had a win over the Charlotte 49ers.
Roll.
Makes them 12-0 at home in the year. That makes it 14-0. Moving on back to last year, they got a game coming up tomorrow night against a 2 worst win team in FIU down there in Miami. Hopefully, that line will probably open up. I would say MTSU is probably favored by about 2.5, maybe 1.5, just with how they've been on the road this year. You know, the last time they were out, they were playing in Birmingham against a UAB team that got run out of there by a player that ended up putting up the highest total in a game ever for a UAB team in a game. So moving on to Miami, hopefully they're able to keep inside the top 10 for covering the spreads on the year and cover another one down there and have no problem and roll on into Saturday. I think all 3 of their next games on the road before they come back home are all fairly winnable. And then when they come back home, they have Marshall and WKU. And so hopefully they have these 3 games on the road and win those and come into those hot and get that done and stay at the top of the conference. What do you want to say, Justin?
Tennessee
You want to talk about Tennessee last night?
kicked the shit out of Kentucky last night by
You got
double
anything to add?
digits.
I bet about $700 on Tennessee to
Yeah, you
win
were
the game.
asking. You were asking if you should cash out at one point or on that.
Yeah, I was
Scary.
thinking about it at halftime. I mean, you know, when
What
you're up
was
by
it?
that much, Tennessee, I mean,
What were they up by?
they're one of those teams.
Were you
that can-
surprised that they won by
14
that
at half.
much?
I
was
thought
surprised they won by
I
that
thought
much.
that Kentucky would get it down to single digits for sure, which they did at one point, and I was nervous at that point. But
Little guy with pigtails. I can't.
Zakai
remember.
Ziegler,
Yeah. He plays just absolutely smothering defense.
he is incredible. I mean, he's the most valuable person on the roster because he's going to be there more than one season, and Kennedy Chandler will leave after this
I
year.
think the most impressive aspect of that game was the fact that they were able to keep Oscar Sheepway at bay. I think
Fulkerson
they're
dominated.
They're really the first team all year that's been able to keep him at bay. I mean, you're talking about a guy that's been able to average basically a double-double per half.
And another thing about Tennessee is I believe that Vescovi and Chandler combined for 29 in the first half.
Vescovi shot very well. He shot very well against Vanderbilt the other night as well.
And then in the second half, both of them only scored on free throws, and that was down the very end of the stretch. So it was impressive for them to keep that lead so big without arguably their 2 best players not performing, or 2 best starters, because, I mean, Ziegler's incredible, but not performing as far as a point standpoint.
Yeah, for sure.
I kind of want to talk about the upcoming UFC fights because I don't know when I'll be back on here again. If y'all want to,
Are they coming up this weekend?
I'm talking about the fight night that I think is in 2 weeks, and then there's the UFC 272, but that's in a few weeks with like Covington and Masvidal.
Yeah, I'm excited for 272. I haven't really looked at the fight night. What's the fight night?
Darush and Islam, Benil Islam. You know, Khabib's like, I guess Khabib kind of mentored him.
Yeah, he's fighting out of Khabib's camp or whatever. Former.
Exactly, and he's minus 370. Benil's plus 290, and he's on like a 5-fight win streak. So it's kind of interesting
And
that
that's
the
the
odds are
headliner?
so skewed. Yeah, for the fight night.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
that should
think
be
that's interesting. Yeah, I feel like, you know, just for how the odds are, like maybe a small bet on Benil might be good because, I mean, he definitely has a chance, I feel like.
And then that Covington Masvidal fight, that'll be pretty good. I mean, Masvidal, he's fucking pay-per-view superstar. He pulls in numbers, you know.
Him, Diaz, and
Yeah.
Israel.
Yep.
Yeah, Covington is now beating McGregor again. Oh wait, no.
Breaking news.
No.
That's Dustin Poirier.
No, but
Cold
Covington
Covington's
and
a
Dustin
badass.
do hate each other, though.
Covington just recently fought Usman and lost to Usman in their
I knew
rematch.
that.
And he
I
arguably
knew that.
won that fight. I mean, but they just don't dethrone the
Coming
champ.
from a Covington sucker.
Yeah, I don't know. Covington should obliterate Masvidal, though, to be honest
Yeah,
with you.
that's what I would think.
And then RDA and Rafael Fiziev is on that fight, too. And I am going to bet big money on Rafael in that fight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thought I would throw in some breaking news real quick. Are you guys done? With
Yeah.
that for the moment?
Yes, sir.
Breaking news on the line for tomorrow night for the MTSU game. 17-7 MTSU down in Miami against 14-11 FIU has opened up as a -4 favorite. So I would definitely look for MTSU to probably come out and cover that spread. I think that's a pretty easy spread for them to cover.
They've been good all year on
But it's a away game, so the
It is an away game.
college away has been iffy,
Me and
just
Cody
all
are
around
going,
the college.
Me and Cody are going down this next week to visit Zach Brown down there in the Bird's Nest. Gonna miss MTSU playing down there in Boca Raton by just a couple hours, but hopefully going over on Tuesday down to Miami to see the Preds play the Panthers. That's a team that's also been struggling as well. They came off a really bad
beat
loss last night. Yeah, with the Capitals.
At
Was
home.
it 4-1?
Yeah, I think it was 4-2, I believe. Yeah.
I wonder.
goal.
Man, you also had USA men's hockey last night dipping out in the
Dude.
quarterfinals to Slovakia. Man, I went to bed and we were up 2-1 with about 4.5 minutes. I want to say it was or so left in the third period, and then I looked up the final score this morning. I was just like, "Holy
Dude,
shit!"
I watched the end of it. Woke up at like 12 o'clock from a nap. Put $50 on the money line as overtime ended right before it went to shootout. USA just could not get one in.
Yeah, you gotta hate the
Our
NHL.
goalie was on point though.
Yeah, you gotta hate that the NHL just couldn't come to terms with an Olympic break this year to get those athletes off and over there, because every time that we have circumstances like this, it's very similar to the last Olympics that we had, where every other team they're having to play junior players their major or like their players come from their professional leagues over there in Europe, which they do have a couple of them, and they have some good players over there. Most of those players are more offensively based than they are defensively based. You don't see them as balanced as some of the guys that you see in the NHL and some of the guys that are in Canadian juniors or in the AHL. So you got to look at like the Czech Republic this year. They have David Krejci, who's only 36 or so, who just retired mid-contract from the Boston Bruins to come back home and play for like his hometown team back in the Czech Republic. So he's been on a tear with them so far in the Olympics. And then the real big obstacle is you have Russia gets to use their KHL players, who are all mainly phenomenal, and they're a lot older than our junior players and our college players. So that's tough too. So even if they win that quarterfinals game yesterday, semifinals, I don't know who exactly they would have had, but I don't think they would have won gold either way.
How about the two Americans on the first ever women's monobob competition?
Dude, the monobob's crazy,
Both the
isn't it?
American women, first and second, they are significantly better than the rest of the competition.
What is monobob?
Isn't it crazy how like in the Olympics, it's just so many different ways on how to just
Bobsledding.
It's just
Alone.
bobsledding with one person.
The
The
winner,
Jamaican bobsled team. Always.
Cool Runnings.
You seen the movie?
Shout out Cool
Yeah.
Runnings. Isn't it crazy how like in the Olympics, especially for the winter, it's just like how many different ways we can figure out as humans to slide on snow and ice, and then grade ourselves and time ourselves on how quickly or like well we can do it. And then on top of that, isn't it wild how I was talking about it with Cody the other day? Some of the countries that you see are just like so good at certain events. It's like the bobsled and the luge and the skeleton, like all those like ice track events. The Germans are really, really good at that. And they like have car companies literally like design their bobsleds and stuff. And then you go over to stuff like cross country skiing. For some reason, like the Scandinavian countries like Sweden, Norway, Finland, they're all the ones that like dominate that. There's a couple like Italians in the mix too. And then you go over to like
mountains.
figure skating. You have for figure skating, you have like that's probably a sport where there's probably just a good little mix, to be honest with you. You see people from all over the place doing that. There's Chinese that are good. There's Russians. There's Americans. There's some Dutch, French. When you look over at something like hockey, you've got Canada, you got the U.S., you got Russia. So that's a little bit more of a mix too.
Does anyone know who's in first place in the Olympics with like gold medals right now?
I haven't looked at the medal count recently. I know that the last time I looked, Germany was up there high because of the events that had taken place first. Most of them were those ice track events. And then I know the Netherlands had jumped really high up there because they're really good at the speed skating events, and most of those had taken place here recently.
Usually, the United States is the best in Summer Olympics, right?
Mm-hmm. What do you think about the Olympic Committee reinstating that 15-year-old from Russia?
Yeah, I know, because there was that one girl, Richardson, that was smoking weed, and then she just got like basically screwed. They said, "We're done with you," but this girl gets to continue.
And she was taking steroids, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I know. It's really interesting.
Enhancement,
really interesting how
Not
they
weed.
allowed her to stay.
She's
I don't
15.
know.
Yeah, I don't get that. I think they should have canned her ass for real.
I don't know. It's super crazy that happened after,
Like, sorry.
and especially
I
after
definitely
Richardson.
I definitely don't understand it. It's like a big, crazy double standard thing. Like just trying to keep people happy for the most part. I think the
It's
Olympic
just like
Committee
what-
is just super, super corrupt on that type of stance. I mean, it's just like you even look at like some of those things with like the venues for the outdoor competitions as it pertains to snowboarding and skiing. Right now over there in Beijing, you look all the way back to Sochi too when they had that over there next to the Mediterranean Sea in Russia. We got to quit having the Olympics in places where like you can't get real snow and stuff like that, because a lot of these people, like you watch like the big slalom or like the giant slalom, the slalom, any of the snowboarding or skiing events, mainly just for any part. Like the fake snow is just way, way icier and slushier than like real snow. So people have had trouble turning. People have had trouble like because of the way haze and stuff works over there in China too. I've seen where snowboarders and skiers that do the big air events have had trouble differentiating while they're in the air the difference between the sky and the snow because they're so like similar in like a grayish kind of white color.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing with like turf fields and like sports, like all of that. Like you should be playing on like real grass or real snow. I mean, it's just super important for the athlete's health, to be honest, and their performance will be better.
How about Scotty Scheffler winning the Phoenix Open?
Dude, how about that 16th hole celebration?
Yeah, that was crazy. The hole in one.
Dude, I think
That's
that
a
is.
waste
I think.
management.
Oh yeah, that's waste management. Sorry, my bad.
That's funny.
I
Turned
think,
into a Tennessee stadium.
dude, I think something like that is like so good for the game of golf, because for so long people have thought of it as kind of like a more eloquent, elitist type of sport. When most of us we see it as just like get some clubs. Like a lot of like I have cheap ones for the most part. Go out, get some drinks on the course with your friends, and play like
a cigar.
scramble,
It's great.
smoke a cigar, stuff like that.
It's getting that time of year, man.
I think scenes like that will like really go a long way to help grow the game, especially for like younger kids and stuff. You see a scene like that's going to get somebody way more intertwined into the culture of the game than people being kind of snobby and stuck up and just quiet.
Did you see the youngin, the 24-year-old Sahith Theegala? He was in first place for the first 2 rounds of golf and through Friday and Saturday, and he just could not hold on to it there at the end. Came in, I believe, third back there with Koepka. Koepka too. Wow. I took a early bet on Friday for Koepka, and it just did not pan out well. Man couldn't putt, but it's whatever.
Koepka seems to be a fan favorite, I feel like, though.
He's definitely got a personality.
For sure. He's one of those guys
Win.
that makes the sports exciting, though.
Right.
Like Bryce was saying.
Right, exactly. It's like, I don't know, they need more personality in that sport.
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
really do. It's like I love the guys that come on stuff like, Barstool's got their Pardon My Take podcast and stuff, and they're really intertwined with Brooks and Blake Koepka, Bryson DeChambeau, a couple of those. I really like Bryson DeChambeau. Guys like that are like they're going a long, long way for growing the game from like the guys like, you got to love the play of guys like Rory McIlroy and stuff like that, and Ricky Fowler, but they have like, that kind of elitist touch to them and stuff like that. They've never really gotten on a whole lot of like media platforms like YouTube with some of these other people and pushed out content for just larger digestion.
Real quick, everybody shoot a pick out real quick. Let's go.
Well, I say we just go ahead and get to the ones for tonight and for the rest of the week. I'm not talking about the weekend. I'm just talking about for the rest of the week mainly. For tonight, I have the luck of the night being Louisville not being able to cover that -2.5 spread against Miami, even though that it's over in Louisville. I hit a Miami spread earlier this year. Last time I hit one, they were over in Atlanta at Georgia Tech. I think they're 7 games better, I believe it is, than Louisville tonight going into Louisville. So I don't see that -2.5 being any problem for them to cover.
For me, I really think that Baylor's going to pull off a big victory over Texas Tech tonight. Even though one of their better rebounders is out for the season now, I just feel like they're so much more athletic than Texas Tech, and Texas Tech is so reliant on their defense, but Baylor handles the ball pretty well and doesn't have a lot of turnovers.
Yeah, tonight, my luck of the night is Auburn minus 13. They are 91% against the spread all year. They're
Who are they playing?
dominating Vanderbilt.
Yeah, in the jungle, it's really tough to play.
Oh, is it at Vanderbilt?
No, it's over there in Auburn in the jungle.
Oh, it's in the jungle.
Yeah. Vanderbilt's Memorial Gym.
Well, I'm with Ethan on Baylor. Me and Ethan also had a parlay.
Yeah, I like Baylor.
Baylor and Illinois. Illinois is right now losing 7-15.
Now what did I tell
Rutgers.
you? I tried
Rutgers plus 6.5.
I tried telling
Fuck
Ethan
y'all.
earlier. I tried telling Ethan earlier today. Rutgers' last 3 wins have all come against AP ranked top 25 teams.
2 out of the last 3 games. It's been great.
Yeah, Easton was all over. He was all over me in the bar on the last one. So I had my doubts about Illinois tonight. I don't think, Cockburn. He's good. He's a physical monster, but he's been a little underwhelming this year. I'll be flat out honest with you. Illinois
22 and 11 is not that underwhelming, to be honest.
I mean, it's whatever.
I don't know. I just feel like that's pretty impressive stats. We'll see what happens. Right now, Rutgers is looking decent to start the game, though.
They've got some bad losses. I don't know. Especially that one to Maryland earlier in the year.
Wendell Carter plus 15 points.
Yep.
Minus 162. Take it.
Does anybody have NBA picks tonight?
I don't have one for tonight. However, I do. I'm probably going to take whatever spread they throw out for the Timberwolves. I'm saying that it's probably going to be minus 6.5 tomorrow when they play the Grizzlies. I would look for the Grizzlies to probably cover that spread, even though it's going to be up there in Minnesota. The Grizzlies will be 40. I look for them to win tonight, so they'll improve to 42-18, playing a 31-win team, Timberwolves. So John Morant probably back in the lineup on that one too. I'd look for them to come out and be really strong. So probably bet on them. I'm definitely going to bet on MTSU to cover the spread tomorrow night. They're just, literally tied for the top team in the nation for covering the spread on the year. So no reason not to ride them.
This weekend's All-Star weekend, right? In the NBA?
Is it?
I think it's this
I believe
weekend,
so.
yeah.
I've been seeing all the
They've
they've been decorating Cleveland.
I guess you can bet like who wins the dunk contest, 3-point, and then obviously All-Star Game MVP, which I feel like, to be honest, LeBron James is a good pick for that. They're going back to Cleveland for this, and he's been on a terrible Lakers team this year. He might want to prove something.
I think that the All-Star MVP, just because of the way the All-Star Game is structured now and the high-flying offensive aspect of it, I believe that I look for John Morant to do some absolutely head-turning things in that game.
I hope he wins it. I hope he does.
I think it's crazy when you think about it right now about how he's not even in the top. He's not in the top 3 right now. I know for sure. I don't know about the top 5, but most analysts that I've seen haven't even put him in the top 3 for MVP conversations this year, which I think is absolutely crazy.
It is terrible how they treat small market teams. They just don't really want those guys to get those big accolades.
We've got a Trae Young ladder. 3 threes, 4 threes, 5 threes. He's already hit 2. So looking to get about 30 more.
All right.
It's coming tonight against the Magic.
What you got on tap, Zach?
Nothing really. was riding that Baylor game pretty much tonight. I was looking at some NBA prop bets for player stats, but I haven't put anything in yet. Those would be for later games.
We've got a little host versus guest competition.
Yeah, I bet on Xavier too.
Took St. Peter's.
They're currently losing 37-40 to St. John's. He doesn't even know who the fuck he bet on. He said St. Peter.
Is it St. John? I got a St. Peter's bet also.
Good for you. Hope St. John loses.
St. John's is playing against your team.
Yeah, that's why I hope they lose.
Man, Providence had a really bad loss last night too.
Against Villanova, right?
Yeah, against Villanova. Colin Gillespie hit a really big 3 down the stretch right there to secure that one for them.
That guy's just a winner, man.
Yeah, dude,
I watched him
like
play
Gillespie
against Tennessee. He's just a winner.
Yeah, I'll get him to the Grizzlies.
Heartbreak from Luka last night. I had player performance doubles. Luka Doncic to get a double-double. Could not get the 10th rebound even with overtime. Or not overtime.
How about Nicholas Batum?
Nicholas Batum ladder. 2 threes, 3 threes, 4 threes yesterday. I called it out. No one took it, but hey, it hit. So As soon as he
made
comes
money.
back, be looking for him. He's on fire. He's gotten 5 and 4 threes for
I'll
the
tell
past
you.
2 games.
I'll tell you one lock to look out for on the rest of the week. Friday night, there's going to be a game between 12-9 Siena and 11-13 Marist is going to be at Siena. I would look for Siena to open up probably about a -1.5 favorite on that game, maybe -2.5. But Siena's a much better team than their record reflects. They've had a bunch of really, really close losses this year, and in small conferences like that, the teams that have been on the road have not been great this year. So I'd look for Siena to come out on Friday night and probably cover that spread as well. So be on the lookout for whenever that line becomes available. Also, Richmond will be playing VCU on Friday night as well. Both teams are 17-win teams. It's going to be at VCU, but Richmond being in the state of Virginia already, that's not going to be too far of a drive for them. So I look for that to be a really interesting game. Keep an eye on the line for that one. Look at the teams, kind of like do your own diagnosis of that, and bet at your own dismay. But I'll probably put some type of money on that game. I went and watched VCU earlier this year when they came and played at Memorial Gym up in Nashville against Vanderbilt. They only allowed Vanderbilt to score, I think it was around 37 points or something like that. Their defense is just absolutely smothering. They just have some really, really, really good athletes. So I would look for them to probably come out and cover whatever spread is put up against them at home. Because VCU, that's a pretty tough place to play. And in the Atlantic 10 this year, they've had some really good competition, especially with Davidson looks really, really nice this year, but they had a big loss on Saturday as well.
There's a lot of big games this weekend, too, in college basketball. Tennessee and Arkansas, Illinois, Michigan State, Texas Tech, Texas, Alabama, Kentucky.
Yeah, we're in full college basketball mode right now. It's almost time for tournaments about to start for conferences, and then after that, get into the big dance.
Anybody got any thoughts right now? Long-term thoughts about who could win in March or be successful?
I really, really like the Baylor Bears, just to be honest with you, flat out. They're just a really good athletic team, and I think once you get into the tournament aspect of things and fatigue becomes an aspect of playing, they're going to be really, really good. Gonzaga, they've quietly just kind of been sitting over there just doing their thing again. And, some of these teams that aren't really big teams and that don't necessarily get to watch film on guys week in, week out that are like Chet Holmgren,
Yeah, he'll probably be the number one pick.
If you're some of these smaller mid-seed teams, like the 16th seed that they're going to play in the first round, or the next seed after that, which will be like an 8 seed or something, or a 7 seed. These 8 and 7 seeds haven't seen anything like Chet Holmgren.
Yeah, I don't see any way that Gonzaga does not at least make it to the Sweet 16 this year. I think that's just a lock
they
for
play
sure.
in that absolutely crap Western Athletics conference, and they're real only somewhat of a resemblance of competition over there is St. Mary's. So
I think a team like Purdue has
Pepperdine used to
a
be
good
good.
chance. Purdue looks really, really good to me.
Hey, what does MTSU need to do to get into March Madness?
Win their
At this
conference.
point, they're going to have to win the conference outright. And I'll be honest with you, Conference USA has been pretty good this year so far, but they're probably going to have to win the conference outright, and then they'll probably have to win at least 2 tournament games.
If you want a $25 better,
If not winning the whole tournament, they might have to win the whole tournament.
keep an eye on Michigan State. They've covered their spread for me, whether it be spread or money line.
They just lost.
That was in overtime. I think. Whatever. Anyways, they have been great for me recently. So just keep an eye on them, man. They may have stumbled a little bit, but they'll be back. Don't you worry.
Shoot. With that, say we get to the bird call. Get a little bit of.
Zach Brown says he's about to be on a date and he cannot accept a call tonight.
What?
But we could try and call Matt
We
Lumpkin.
can call
You
Easton.
know, try to get.
We could give Matt
you know, try to
Lumpkin
get
a call.
Lumpkin or Easton on the phone.
So the
St. John's still up 3 on Xavier.
Damn, bro. I think that Bryce might be right about Illinois because they're down by 9 still.
I have Rutgers money line.
Yeah, they're just have not made a 3-pointer the whole game, though. So that's pretty pathetic.
Hey, how about
They're
Reggie
0
Jackson?
for 8 from 3, so if they could have even hit 2, they'd be in the game.
How about Reggie Jackson last night? Straight dog shit. I had him at. I had Batum at 3 threes, Booker at 3 threes, and Reggie Jackson at 3 threes. And, man, he
Fucked you.
absolutely shit the bed. I think for the first half, he was like something like 6 for like 14 or something. Maybe even 16.
Damn.
It was ridiculous. Let's see what he finished the game at. Oh, yeah. 7 for 26.
Wow, he was really getting buckets, bro.
Didn't go well last night. But the game before, he played extremely well. I liked him. But his run is over.
It is the bird call today. The bird is out of his nest. He is going on a date tonight. So we are going to the bullpen for some help today. Got Matthew Lumpkin calling to us from the desert out in California. How's it going, Lumpkin?
It's going good. How about you, Zach?
It's going amazing. You got any bets for tonight?
Yeah, I did a 14 parlay.
A 14-game parlay?
4.
Team parlay.
I took Ryderz +4.
Hell
Right now
yeah,
they're,
hell yeah. They look good right now
Rutgers,
so
yes,
far.
money line.
They're up 11 right now.
Hell
Pretty
yeah.
good.
It's going well.
My second bet, I took Connecticut -5.
Who are they playing tonight?
Seton Hall.
Seton Hall. All right.
Hey, Lumpkin, do you have any thoughts of the Super Bowl outcome?
Thoughts on Super Bowl outcome? I mean, I thought it was a good game. I mean, people were saying there were some bad calls, but I mean, I think Cooper Kupp did his thing, and they couldn't stop him, so that was it. But
Yeah, Cooper Kupp for sure did his thing.
Were you surprised about the score at all?
T. Higgins, let's go. Did what he needed to do.
I mean, even though Stafford threw 2 interceptions, I mean, he still came in clutch. And that Rams defensive line came in clutch as well.
What do you think about the Matthew Stafford Hall of Fame conversation? Do you think he has any claim to a Hall of Fame spot?
I think he's a lock.
I don't know. I think that's really on the border.
1 Super Bowl, 1 Pro Bowl.
1 Super Bowl, 1 Pro Bowl, but he also had the receivers with the 2 most historic seasons.
Eli Manning's he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, and Stafford is better than
2
Eli.
Super Bowl rings.
All right, Lumpkin, you got any last thoughts?
The last stop, not really excited for the March Madness coming up here in 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
Who are you excited for?
Oh no, I'm just excited to make some money though.
Lumpkin, take.
Have you got? Go
Speaking
ahead.
about college basketball, take MTSU
What's up?
spread. Take MTSU spread tomorrow night. They open up at a 4-point favorite.
Illinois is catching up, baby.
Yes, sir. Hey, have you got to watch any of the MTSU games lately? We're 14-0 at home right now.
Okay, 2 games, yeah.
14-0 dating back to last year. We're 12-0 on the actual
Yeah,
season.
I watched them go to UAB. I think it was like a week or 2 ago, and they
Yeah.
sadly lost that game. But
Yeah.
MTSU's been, like you said, 14-0 at home, which is obviously really good. Top of the conference USA, am I right? Or near top?
Yeah, for our side at least.
And then number 1 in the nation against the spread, or maybe
Tied
they
for it.
fall.
We're tied for it, yeah.
Hopefully they'll have a year like when they beat Michigan State. Do you think they're going to make the tournament? I mean, they should be on the bubble, right?
It really all just depends on how they close out the rest of the season, I think, and how they do in their conference tournament. Just because with them being in Conference USA, it doesn't quite get as much respect as other mid-majors, such as like the American Conference and the Atlantic 10. So you never know. They're definitely going to have to play well the remainder of the season.
Alrighty, Lumpkin, it was good talking to you, brother.
All right, good talking to y'all too.
All right, we'll catch you soon.
I'll see you.
See you, man.
That was our Marine.
Yep.
He's out there in California now.
I always get here from Lumpkin, man.
Yeah, even if we could only hear him from one ear.
Love you, Cody.
Cody,
Hey, wait 1 second.
Cody wants to
Cody-
say something.
Let's get our wait before we get out of here today. We want to get a take on the pick of the week from Cody. That's a new segment that we're going to start starting today. Cody's going to give us his pick of the week. It can be from any sport. It can be any prop bet. It doesn't have to be a money line or a spread. It can be something strange from Bovada. But we're just going to start appealing to him for his lock of the week at least once every week. What do we have, Cody? Did you tell us that? Did you tell us that Bitcoin was going to go up or down during the game? And what did it end up doing? It went down. Wasn't it?
Did y'all see what that bet?
It went down.
Was that a prop line?
Yeah, there was a prop line.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
On
it was
Bovada.
Bovada. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Bovada had everything, dude.
Cody? What
Of
sport?
course.
Cody,
Women's basketball.
you think you're gonna give us a women's basketball prop?
Yeah.
MTSU plays
Can
Can you bet on? I don't think women's college basketball is a bettable thing.
Is
Though.
that when is that? 7
Yeah, I
p.m.
think I
tonight?
seen one
Is that what
yesterday.
That is?
Maybe on like Bovada. Really? You were talking about FanDuel. You said it was really good for basketball.
Dude, the same game parlays is great. You can combine same game
Yeah.
parlays,
All right.
which you cannot do on MGM.
Women's
That's a big advantage.
basketball.
Taking us to NCAA or WNBA?
And you can actually pick how many threes people get
NCAA.
without
All
doing
right.
the same game parlay.
We're going to take Texas to beat Iowa State tonight.
What's the money line on that?
I have not got a clue.
Texas to beat Iowa State tonight.
Texas to beat Iowa State.
Is anybody ranked in that
Iowa
matchup?
would be
Texas
favored, I
is-
assume.
Texas is number 14 and Iowa State's number 6, so it looks like he's putting Iowa State on upset alert.
You're putting Iowa State on upset alert
Yeah.
tonight. Iowa State has been
I
on.
think
They've been
Texas
put
is
on
gonna
notice
be
tonight by
Texas
Cody Lucas.
is just going to be slamming some layups. And
slamming some layups.
Iowa's going to be just airballing threes all night.
All right, all right.
Slamming layups, baby. I like it. I like it.
Yeah, yeah. But with that, I'm probably going to call it a day. Great show.
Yes, sir.
Coming
Thanks
to
for the
you.
guests.
Thanks for having us, man.
Yes, sir.
Great.
Yes, sir.
Thank
That's
you
going to
guys.
wrap it up here
We
on
will be back.
February, Wednesday, the 16th. It
Yes,
is
sir.
the Riders of the Night.
Right
Let's
on,
ride.
baby.